move on to the co-main event. And I have to say, I might be the most excited to talk about this fight. And I even thought about asking if this should have been on the marquee for you guys, but it is what it is. All I gotta say,
and I was like,
it also crossed my mind.
Listen,
if there wasn't a belt involved, I think I would have pushed for it harder. But there was a belt involved, and the performance itself was kind of nasty. So
all I'm gonna say is, don't be silly, jump the gilly. Okay,
there it is.
Okay, in the co-main event, UFC 299. Once again, in Miami, Florida, at the Kaseya Center, in front of 19,000 people, Dustin the Diamond Poirier proved me wrong and proved a hell of a lot of people wrong by knocking out Benoit Saint-Denis in the second round. Oh my God. Y'all must have forgot. Our boy has still got it. Mark, let me start with you this time. Give us your thoughts and your impressions of the Diamond's legendary performance, only adding to an already legendary career.
I love how pumped you are right now.
Yes.
We have said it before on here. As much as we try to be objective analysts when it comes to breaking down these fights, we are also fans. And as a Dustin Poirier fan, this was fucking awesome. Shut everybody up. 2-1 underdog. Oh, his chin isn't there anymore. Oh, he's older now. Oh, he'll get tapped. The pace will break him. Fuck all that. I thought more and more every passing day that Dustin was going to find a way to find Benoit's chin in this fight and turn him off. I picked it on the show. I think Omar might have picked. Omar, what did you pick? Did you pick knockout too?
I don't even remember. I was going to ask you actually because you write him down.
I know you took Dustin, but I don't know what you took him by.
100%.
And he did exactly that, and it was fucking awesome. Benoit Saint-Denis' chin is up in the air. It's always open. His hands aren't up. His head movement isn't great, and people don't see it because he's such a zombie that it makes it not matter. But like I said last week, Dustin Poirier is not the guy that you are going to eat these shots from, and he couldn't do it. And man, Dustin had to go through hell to get there. Let's not get it twisted. That pace from Benoit was fucking crazy. I remember looking at the clock in round one because I'm watching this. I'm pulling for Dustin heavy. I'm nervous. I'm fucking like sweating. And I remember looking at the clock in round one after Dustin survived like 3 or 4 tense spots, thinking like, okay, like we survived again. We got to be getting close to the end of the round here. And I look and it's 2:29, and I was like, what the fuck? Like Benoit just put so much on you with no breaks. But Dustin endured it, man. And I've watched this fight back a couple times. It's obviously amazing. But on the rewatch, like with that stress removed, I realized Dustin actually did like a much better job defensively than I even realized he was doing live. Like he was never really in danger necessarily. He blocked a lot. His submission defense was absolutely on point all fight. Live he was making me nervous when he gave his back a couple times, but even when he did that, it worked. He then got up. The one time he had Benoit got his hooks in, but even then, Dustin never really let anything get close. The only one that was, something was like across his mouth. He kept getting up, kept getting free. And anytime he had a chance to swing, he was swinging because I think he knew what we knew. And that's that he could find the chin and that the chin was open. And he knew if he could, it would change the fight. And he did, man. And he put him down. Another massive moment in the career of Dustin Poirier, and we ain't done yet.
We ain't done yet. Omar, bringing you in here, what were your thoughts of how this fight played out?
I thought I was going to have an aneurysm if he had jumped the ghillie one more time. That man must have pulled 5 or 6 guillotines in that fight, all of which I was like, what is it that you are doing right now? Because I just could not understand. Like after the first 2, especially because he ended up in a bad position on almost all of them. I think the one that he ended up in the least bad position was the standing guillotine that he pulled, which I wasn't even mad at because I was like, you're not going to lose position there. So you should be fine even if you do lose it. But the ones where he jumps and he's in full guard and he's like, fuck being on the bottom. I'm like, dude, what is happening here? looking back at the fight is one thing, right? Because we know how it ends. But in the moment, things were not going well for Dustin Poirier, right? Like, these are not positions you want to see Poirier in. You don't want to see Poirier against the fence, blocking, having to block shots, right? Having to block volume from Benoit. You don't want to see Poirier on his back trying to stop a rear naked choke from coming in and obviously losing the round, right? We don't know how the rest of the fight's going to go at that moment. So it's like, you don't want to see Poirier losing rounds at all. And so it was stressful. A very stressful first round. And then we get to the second round, and Poirier is tagging this boy. I mean, he still jumped some guillotines, but doing a much better job, and obviously was able to find the chin. Did you guys see the fun fact about the fight and the fight ending time?
Yes.
This shit is straight out of some witchcraft bullshit. I'm telling you that right now. This is some voodoo shit over here. But the fight time, the fight for Dustin Poirier and Benoit Saint-Denis ended in round 2 at 2 minutes and 32 seconds. The fight between Conor and Dustin Poirier, the second fight, not the one where Conor broke his leg.
The first fight, you mean? Second. Sorry, yeah. I'm forgetting there was 3.
Yeah. So the second fight, he knocks out Conor McGregor at 2 minutes and 32 seconds of the second round with the same goddamn right hand.
Yep.
I mean, that's a movie in and of itself. Just that. It's crazy. Absolutely beautiful performance.
Yeah, man. And Poirier, he proves the exception of the rule. I didn't make the feel pick, the heart pick on this one. I went with math. To me, I was like, and we just are coming off the heels of the Volkanovski fight, and he loses that fight to Poirier very recently, weeks ago, really. And we all saw these stats of like fighters like 35 years old or older are like, what was it, like 0-17 or something like that?
In title fights,
yes.
Yeah.
And here's Poirier, who is 35 years old, taking on a bigger, seemingly stronger and perhaps more athletic and more aggressive, like 28-year-old in Benoit Saint-Denis. And I'm like, man, this is just fucking math. Like, I'm going to go with the fucking odds on this one. But man, that's why they fight the fights, man. That's why they play the games. Whew.
It does sound like Saint-Denis is strong as fuck, though. I mean, that was one thing that Poirier kept talking about, was how strong Saint-Denis felt in there.
Poirier's listed at 5'9", and Saint-Denis, being a 5'11" lightweight, is on the taller end of lightweight. And when they were doing stare downs and face offs, I was like, oh damn, BSD he's a big guy. He's bigger than he's like significantly, noticeably bigger than Dustin. And that was also apparent in the cage too.
I was gonna
finish.
My bad. I was gonna say, a lot of times guys that are bigger too in those divisions, or taller, I should say, are usually a lot skinnier. Like, you usually lose something in mass, I guess, when you get something in height. Benoit seems to have both, so he's got a good size, good height advantage to him, and he's also got some meat on his bones there. So he's in a good spot. He came across a dude that has dynamite for hands.
Yeah. And speaking of the guillotines, excuse me, I love that the commentary team tried to like boost Poirier up when he like went for like his 4th guillotine, and even though like it was only leading to bad positions for him, I think it was DC and Rogan, they were like, the guillotine, it's one of his best submissions. And then like moments later, John Anik goes, and he has actually
never hit one.
He has never won a fight by guillotine. And it was just, was I wrong? It's like, is it so awkward? It was so awkward. I was like, oh man.
It was silent, and then John goes, if my facts are correct, and DC goes, yeah, they usually are.
Nice.
It's crazy though, because Dustin talks about, I was listening to his interview with Ariel, and he talks about how he hits the guillotine all the time.
Yeah.
In practice, in the gym, he hits it all the time.
Even back when he did it to Khabib, he always says that.
For the life of him, he cannot do it in competition. It won't. It just doesn't stick.
I think also it speaks to the fact that BSD it was so big a couple of those times. Saint-Denis just like pushed his way out of it. Like, he's just too big and strong for Dustin, I felt.
Yeah, he tried a few
he's
different
a-
grips too, and it did not work.
Yeah.
Mark, what were you going to say? I cut you off.
To Omar's point before of Dustin saying that Benoit was strong, I don't know if you were referring to the same thing I'm about to, but he was sitting with Brett Okamoto after the fight, and his review was kind of like, not kind of like, it was that he was saying that Benoit did feel really strong, but not like positionally and technically. Like he said, like position wise, he didn't feel overbearing. He just felt very naturally strong, which kind of checks out with exactly how visually it looks like Benoit fights. Like I have not really thought he was some, technical, perfect weight bearing wrestling, like Habib style. Totally. He's just a beast.
Yeah. Definitely a guy that likes to muscle things around, and he's got the cardio to take advantage of that too. So yeah,
that's true, man. Well, let's talk about the future for these two guys at lightweight. I forget. Did Dustin call anybody out? I don't think so in the octagon.
Mm-mm.
But
he had a great line though when Joe was like, "Yeah, you're the man, Dustin," and he goes, "I'm just a man, Joe.
I'm just a man."
Amen.
Yeah,
that was great.
Yeah, man. Dustin's the fucking man. But obviously, I'm sure you guys have both seen a lot has been said recently about Dustin getting the next shot at the belt against Islam, perhaps in June. Omar, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, if we're being honest, man, it's kind of a mess. That top of that division. If you want to give him Islam, I'm not going to fight you on it. There's also Armin that's in the mix there as well. You could probably give him Armin because he does look like he's trying to go for that belt. That's always going to be if Charles loses. Nope, other way around. If Armin loses, I think you can give him Armin.
Who?
I was thinking you can give Poirier Armin if Armin loses against Charles. Not the other way around because Charles basically just fought Poirier essentially. I guess now is what, 5 years ago?
No, could it have been that long? Jesus.
2019, right?
Holy fuck. So 4? Jeez.
Bro. That's
5. Yeah, I can't do math.
No. It was 2021. 2021.
Okay.
So it wasn't that long ago.
Say, my God, my life can't be flying by that quickly.
Khabib was 2019. Khabib was 2019. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So Armin, if Armin loses that fight, or maybe even Beneil, I'm not against a title shot though.
Mark, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, as you said, there is a lot of talk about him fighting Islam in June, which, it is a little bit crazy considering there is no reason he should have jumped either Gaethje, who just had KO'd him, or Oliveira, who, as Omar said, he is behind since he lost to Oliveira. So it's weird, but like I get it, I guess, that they're both on UFC 300, which is still a month away. So people are very quick to be like, well, like they both have fights booked, so let's just get Dustin and Islam on the books. And honestly, if Islam is ready in June and Gaethje or Charles wouldn't be ready by then after UFC 300, I'm not going to say no. Like, as much as it's not, I guess, necessarily right, like, let's just call it a lifetime achievement award title shot for Dustin, and like
I love that.
And I'll be
I love
down.
that.
But yeah, I mean, of course, there's UFC 300 is going to determine a lot because like Gaethje and Charles could both lose, and Max wouldn't be ahead of Dustin if that happens. I guess Armin could technically be ahead of Dustin if he beats Charles, but like at that point, if you say we're going to do Islam Dustin, no one's going to fucking complain at all. So it's going to depend. We could get a scenario where Gaethje wins and he does get his shot, but Armin beats Charles. So then they're like, okay, the other fight is going to be Dustin and Armin for the winner of Islam and Gaethje. There's a lot that could happen here. I think that we kind of just need to let UFC 300 play out before we go booking shit. That's really what my stance is.
Oh, you think we should let 300 play out? Oh, interesting. Okay.
Considering both of those fights are on the same card, like I just feel like so much depends on who wins those fights.
Dude, I love what you said. I think, and I'm on board with the lifetime achievement title shot with what will probably be Dustin's like last crack at it, right?
Oh,
he's
yeah.
35.
I would imagine, yeah.
I'm like, let's go. Let's get the guy the belt. Come on. Like, let's
The
give
thing
him
is,
another
Gaethje's in the
shot.
same boat. So, like, if he beats Holloway after he just head kick KO Dustin, how do you justify
Perfect.
not giving it to Gaethje? Like, there are complications here.
But if
Yeah,
Dustin wins, then you have Gaethje Poirier 3 for the belt. Hello.
That's very true. That's very true.
Like I said, though, it's a mess, man. That top of
Yeah.
that division right now is a mess. And the real issue is that we've gotten all of these old guard versus new guard fights.
Yep.
And the old guard is fucking up these new guards.
Yep.
And so it is just not going the way that they wanted it to go.
Right.
Especially if
guess so.
Charles beats Armin. It's going to be even more
Yeah.
the same, that it's just Charles,
the
Justin,
last-
and Dustin, and no one can beat them.
That's the last one, I think, at this point. That's the last old versus new is Charles and Armin.
Yep.
Yeah, man. Ooh, can't wait. See, I mean, it is a mess, but I think I'm excited by all of the.
Oh,
how
it's
gonna
fun.
Play out. Yeah, it's fun.
Yes.
That's what it is. That's what it is. Okay, let's talk about Benoit, God of War, Saint-Denis. Let's talk about it, Mark. What is next for the Frenchman?
You know, he swung big. Something just went in my eye. He swung big here. He had a huge opportunity, and he missed. But I do think he gets another solid opportunity to establish himself in his next fight. I could see it be a vet who also lost on this card, like a Rafael dos Anjos. And I could even see it be a Beneil Dariush, depending how things shake out above, because Beneil could end up the man that has no fight.
Omar, your thoughts?
I think it's going to be a little bit before we see Benoit back, probably at minimum the end of the summer, maybe the beginning of the fall, just because his face got completely pounded into the canvas. So I think it gives Dan Hooker a little bit of time to get that arm fixed up. I think he's already been deep in that process, and so I think that might be a nice return for Dan Hooker.
That's cool too.
Like it. Yeah, that's cool. Whew. All right, man. Let's move on from this one. God, I get to introduce this man in 3 weeks. Isn't that crazy? What is
Poirier?
my life? Yeah, man.
I forgot. Wow. Jesus.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Crazy. For those listeners who might not know, as the cage announcer for Anthony Pettis Fighting Championship coming up, their very first event of 2024 on April 7th, going down in Hammond, Indiana at the Civic Center, there will be another special guest of honor, and this time it will be Dustin the Diamond Poirier. And he just won this fight, which is incredible. It would have been incredible anyway, but now it's going to be that much more incredible.
Yeah, that's pretty dope.
Yeah, man. I started writing my little introductory spiel for him today, and I was like getting fucking goosebumps. I'm not even kidding. I want to make it good. It's going to be good. It's going to be like my ode to Poirier. I'm going to switch from me like, ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to welcome you to the cage. And like by the end of it, I'm going to be like, Dustin, I love you. I'm your biggest fan. I really like the time that you beat so-and-so. Remember that one? Anyway.
And then you're going to give him the mic. Just give him a little wink in the gun at him.
No more fucking thumbs ups. Stupid ass. All right, let's move on.